inspiration. A foundation still important today, the process of sharing words strung together that help point out the way, the many voices within each page. Turn pages from the past that resonate with you today. Turn pages today that create an escape within your mind. Turn pages that express a treasure within your tomorrow. Turn pages that hold a future for you to follow. We are turning pages.
RJay Barsh, that's me, born March 6, 1983, Tacoma, Washington. Born Tacoma General Hospital. I'm the second oldest of 7 boys from Denise and Roy Barsh. My real name is Roy Barsh, named after my dad. Interesting being the second, still named after my dad. I think I take from my dad a little bit, but I like to say I look like my mom. She's a better looking one. My story's interesting because I think we all have these dreams of our role models, right? And my role models growing up were, of course, boxers. I loved watching guys win in the ring. I loved athletes, right? Because growing up where I grew up, I was taught this is how you make it, with the ball, either a pigskin or, of course, basketball. If I were to stand up, you'd know exactly what sport I love the most. But growing up in Tacoma taught me also in my home, my dad was very organized in how he taught us to understand the importance of treating everybody with respect. My dad went back to school when I was younger, went to Washington State. One of the first pictures I remember, and I keep my phone, is a picture of me and my older brother Josh sitting next to the Coug mascot. And I remember that, and it makes me understand the importance of education and the importance of kind of my identity growing up in Tacoma. It's 2020, right? My dad and my mom were so interested in making sure that they raised us a certain way that I remember being in 6th and 7th grade and having to write a book report on a figure from Black history, whether it was Carter G. Woodson, whether it was, Alexander Miles, whether it was Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X. These were people that I was introduced to at 12 and 13 years old. I had teachers that my dad would come to the parent-teacher meeting and make sure to understand, like, this is my son and this is how I want you to teach him. He would come to my basketball camps and sessions and do the same thing. So for me, growing up, there was never a line of demarcation between being sports and being in education. And demarcation, what I mean is, I never had to decide which one I would put my pride in, which one I would love the most. Education means so much to me that I found as I got older, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, I started to value the person who was telling me the information that was making me a better person. I played the game of basketball. In my little sphere, I felt like I was excelling. Here's the one thing I realized though, they're playing sports all over the globe. And so I had to make a decision once I got to college. Was this what I was gonna do the rest of my life? I went from high school playing basketball every single day. Went to junior college, got to play with my brother at Tacoma Community College. Then I went to Central Washington University in Ellensburg, Division II school. And pain has a lot to do with how you make decisions. And for me, I had a really bad back injury that forced me to use my mind more than my body for 3 months. And I realized that all those things that I was taught as a toddler, going to pre-K classes or going to Sunday school, all those things I was taught were now coming to the forefront of my mind because I was not able to run up and down the floor or run after the ball like I used to. At that moment, I decided to transfer to University of Puget Sound in Tacoma, Washington, a liberal arts university where I studied communications, studied business, and graduated from there and went straight into the business world. I did that for about 1.5 years. And I was at a point where I felt successful, but I didn't feel happy. And I don't know if happy is maybe the right word, but I didn't feel like I was doing enough based on the young men that I read about in 6th and 7th grade. Like I wanted to mean more. Not that business is not something you can do to mean more. For me, it wasn't answering that. And so I started to remember, what did I love when I was in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade? And I started to think about, I remember the book reports that I wrote on these people. I remember the teachers who taught me. And most guys that I would talk to didn't really care so much about those things the way that I did. That's how I decided I'm gonna be a coach. Started coaching right away, coached every single level. And my first team was a 6th grade team called the Tacoma Red Hots, girls team. I coached this team. We were not any good, but we loved to play basketball. I was learning how to coach. Went from that to coaching skill development for professional players, to coaching high school basketball for a year, back to junior college, Division III basketball, and then I got an opportunity to be a head coach at a small school 2,700 miles away from Tacoma in Lakeland, Florida, called Southeastern University, to rebuild a program or to continue building a program that was looking to go to a different level. It was in those moments that I realized the power of all those stories that I had had in my life, from reading about the young African queens and the scholars, W.E.B. Du Bois, and reading about these people, I started to understand the power of belief in the words that we say. And that's why today when I read this book to you and I tell you why there's one page in this book called Kia the Queen that is so powerful. And the reason it's powerful is because this book was written by Dr. John Push Gaines, who's a friend of mine from Tacoma, Washington, who has went through a lot and overcame a lot. But he dedicates this book to a teacher. Because there was a point in his life where someone believed in him beyond what he could believe in himself. And so his way to give back to others is helping them to believe in themselves. And then John has a baby girl, and so of course he writes a book to make sure that his baby girl understands she's a queen. I have a son named Grayson. He's 13 months old, 14 months old, it's gone by fast. And I also have a 23-year-old. So I'm living in two different frames of mind, but one thing that is consistent is they understand who they are. Now you may say, how does the 14-month-old understand who he is? Because every single night, when I read these books to him, when I hold him, I'm reading words from authors that I know and trust and believe in, and I know the power in those words. So when I read this page to you, I want you to think about Kia the Queen, and I want you to think about this queen that does not understand that she's a queen yet. I want you to think about the power of a teacher, a mom, a dad, someone in the community that sets aside a short time just to inspire belief in someone they believe in. So we're gonna open the book, and it's gonna be quick. It's gonna be 30 seconds. But when you hear the 30 seconds, I believe you understand why it means so much. That day in class, Kia told Miss C that she wanted to be a queen. And Miss C looked at Kia with great joy and said, I believe in you. Miss C told Kia that she believed in her because she knew that all animals that were born eventually would be queen or king despite the challenges they faced. And I love this because in this story, Kia is a little lion that's learning who she's going to become, not understanding yet she was born this already. You were born great, believing your greatness. But I think it's important for all of us to have a Miss C in our life. Someone who can see You're lying. You're born to be a king. You're born to be a queen. And that's why I love this book by Dr. Gaines, is because he's speaking truth to power, and he's being the Miss-C to somebody else's daughter and somebody else's son. I hope when you pick up that book that you get the same feelings that I do when I read to my son Grayson, that you put belief in somebody so they can believe in their story. I'm Coach Barsh. I coach at Boise State. I love being here because every single day, this blue and orange gets me attention of others so I can tell them to believe in themselves. Thank you.
We stem from simple memorization, memories of the epic odysseys that allowed the blind to see and freely roam, aspirations of a hero's return home, pictures painted, whether full of truth or slightly fabricated, haunted by mystery and a dream, the scheme to reveal a message, a moral learned, a choral serene, large enough to leave a mark on the hearts of those who open their ears to hear the underlying theme, inspiration. A foundation still important today, the process of sharing words strung together that help point out the way, the many voices within each page, the relationship between character and reader, storyteller, narrator, business owner to a teacher, musician, filmmaker, politicians, and a variety of leaders, breeding braids and waves that weave tells, webbed together to connect a community. Pages, one by one, are turning in unity. Over years, from parchment and scroll to a bind, we find new enlightenment from the old. A gift from a mere book, soup that warms the soul, or an impact on a mind that seeks purpose, a ripple from a pebble that dives under the surface. From off the shelf we carry a compass, the blueprint of navigation to our circumference. With wisdom at the steering wheel, we will always feel accomplished. Peel back the cover, discover the scent of borrowed time, turn pages from the past that resonate with you today, turn pages today that create an escape within your mind, turn pages that express a treasure within your tomorrow, turn pages that hold a future for you to follow. We are turning pages.